This is our review of The Walking Dead, Season 5, Episode 7, Crossed. First of all, poor Gabriel's church. Them just tearing it apart, and you can just see how upset he is and heartbroken he is about it. And oh my gosh, the worst part was when there was the blood all over the floor and he was trying to clean it with his nails, and I was just like, for some reason that part just horrified me because I hate seeing nails rubbing against wood. So that part was good, and I'm glad then when he spit on the floor and then started to rub it off. And I kind of don't blame him for wanting to leave the church and, going into his room and prying up the boards. Kind of stupid because he didn't have any supplies or survival skills, and he kind of reminded me of Bad Luck Brian. First step outside into the wilderness after escaping, steps on rusty nail. But, again, they're probably going to bring him back into the fold. In the comics, he's with them, so I don't think they're going to kill off Gabriel. I think they're maybe going to go some more places with that, but I don't blame him for leaving. It was a stupid decision on his part because he's not prepared at all. I did like Michonne and Carl trying to teach him how to fight, and him just horrified. I mean, he thinks of these people just as murderers, In a way, he's a murderer too because he locked people outside the church to die, but it's hard for him to kill, and seeing people that are so, nonchalant about it probably is very shocking to him. So back at the fire truck, Abraham is still being a little brat. I mean, you can understand why he's devastated. He just lost all his hope. His, entire reason, I went through this last review, why this is so devastating to him. So he's still kneeling there, and Rosita is trying to comfort him, get him to drink some water, and he knocks the water out of her hand, which he probably figured out pretty quickly that was really stupid to waste, the last water they had, with throwing a little hissy fit about being so upset. And I like when Rosita's like, look at me, and he stands up, and he's like, he has the crazy eyes, and Maggie ends up pointing the gun at him and saying, Sarah, I'll put you down. And you can see the look in his eyes where he's thinking, do I want to die? Because this would be really easy. I could charge at her and she could blow my brains out, and then my misery would be over. I mean, I've lost my family, I've lost my one last hope, I've killed people for this, and, there's no point to me living anymore. And I like his desperation compared to everyone else, because in the comics, he really does lose his hope after that. I mean, he used to be pretty aggressive about taking command and challenging Rick, and then after this happened, he really just kind of stepped into the shadows and, wasn't so aggressive anymore, because this, in a way, really broke him, and it took him a while to come back from this. I know Tara sometimes is back and forth whether I find her annoying or not. I think this episode really showed that she's trying to lighten things up. She's trying to be the comic relief, and I think that takes a really big person, especially in the zombie apocalypse, to put yourself out there and just keep having fun and joking, even if people are just like, man, just shut up, we're tired of this. And, she's trying to make the best of a terrible situation because, what else can you do? There was Batman comics, but, there was a thing of you can either go crazy at the darkness, or you can laugh at it. And I really enjoy that Tara is able to laugh at it, and we see her with the little yo-yo, and just kind of interesting. I also like the contrast of Glenn and Rosita and Tara going on, it's like a little camping trip, fishing and getting supplies, and then on the other hand, we have Rick and their group planning an all-out assault, so kind of a contrast to what's going on with each group. And I am glad that in the end, Abraham decided that he didn't want to die and he wants to keep going forward and, help out. And I also, finally, about this scene, really liked the Maggie doing the ladder with the little sunshade and everything from it. I thought they were going to use it a little bit as not being able to see if Eugene had turned or not and make it like a jump scare, but they didn't, so kind of really proud of them because it really annoys me when there's jump scares for no apparent reason. It was really hard to make out what Eugene said, but if you watch the show with subtitles, you know that he said hello. He wasn't, grumbling, growling like a zombie. Like some people are like, oh, why'd she lift it up like it was no big deal? Because he actually said hello. It was really hard with however they did the sound mix and the episode to be able to hear that. So Eugene's still alive, just like he was in the comics. Hooray! At the hospital, police officer was, saying to Dawn, we need to take Carol off life support. She was half dead coming in. She's a waste of resources. Beth ends up, interjecting in, forces Dawn to have to pull life support on her, and then gives her the key to the drug closet and says, you need to keep her alive. I'm not 100% convinced that Dawn is doing this just because she doesn't want to see someone die. I'm wondering if maybe this is a trap, or somehow she's going to get Beth in trouble for this, or find another reason to get rid of Beth or punish her, or maybe, 3 strikes you're out, chick, we're not dealing with you anymore. Something like that. I find it really hard to trust Dawn. I feel like we should give a round applause to the terrible acting from the old man who starts choking. Like, why would you stop choking just as Beth walks by you while looking at her? Like, it just was so obvious. If you were those cops, you would then look to where he was looking after he stopped coughing and be like, wait a second, you need to come back here and we need to, pat you down. So that was kind of weird. I don't know if they were intentionally trying to make him a bad actor, like the Walking Dead producers hired a bad actor to do bad acting. I don't know. It was just a little bit out there. I guess we'll see what happens with the hospital thing. I'm really hoping that Carol pulls through. I don't think that they would just end her right now, especially like that, after her kind of epic arc, but that would be an interesting way to tell people, anyone can die in The Walking Dead, and they can die in an absurd, stupid way that you don't think they should, so get used to it. And now, finally, to Rick's group. I did like when they were still at the church and Rick is talking to Michonne, and Michonne's like, we owe Carol, and Rick's like, no, I owe her more. And I really think this was him realizing that, okay, it wasn't cool that Carol maybe took the bodies that were sick and ended up burning them, but Rick got a little bit soft at the prison and started to believe that he could have this life, and Carol was able to and was willing to do what needed to be done. And I think Rick has realized that half measures do not work. You can't survive in the zombie apocalypse if you have half measures. And I think he realized that Carol was only trying to save them, and that Carol was actually doing what was right. And when he was upset with her, it was because he was still in his soft phase of, okay, you're going to live in this prison, we're going to have this new life, we're going to have rules. And that was all taken away, and other things have been ripped from him, and he's just realized, half measures, they're not okay anymore. And anytime they have done half measures, it has come back to literally bite them. I mean, just bite them right in the butt. And I think Rick's sick of it, which made me really surprised when they were all talking about how they're going to do the assault on the hospital, and they end up talking Rick into just not killing everyone. And Rick was okay with that, because I figured by now Rick would realize, half-assing this is not what's going to keep you alive. It was also super infuriating when Sasha, believed the cop. It was just like, I know to a certain degree that you have to keep your characters stupid, because by keeping them stupid, they make mistakes, and it makes the show exciting. If you just, I feel like 2, 3, 4 years into the zombie apocalypse, you would be a little less trusting and more understanding, but I guess not for Sasha. And you do have to keep your cast stupid, your characters stupid, in order to have action scenes and, close calls and stuff like that, and keep people interesting. Because how boring would this be if they all made smart decisions and nothing ever happened, and they just got along in the zombie apocalypse? People really wouldn't want to watch it, and they'd think it was boring. I know some people were complaining, like, oh, why is Sasha so broken up by Bob? They were only dating for a few days. And regardless of how long they were dating, you have to realize that after the prison got destroyed, Sasha was in a super dark place, and she just was sick of everything, and all she cared about at this point was surviving. And Bob pulled her out of that. Bob was like, you gotta have fun, you gotta smile, there's more to let you're alive, be happy about that. And he really pulled her back from the edge and helped her see the light in life and be happy, and she got happy again, and she found happiness again, and it was ripped from her, and the thing that brought her from the edge was now gone, and she doesn't have that anymore, and she lost a big part of her that supported her. So to her, even if they were only dating for a few days, their friendship lasted longer than that, and he really helped her in a lot of ways, and now that is gone, and it's one less person to bring happiness in our life, and that has to be crippling. And I know they said it in another episode, every loss in The Walking Dead, or every loss in the zombie apocalypse, is harder and worse because every little thing just tears away at you, and it's the last things you have, and you're having the last things that you have ripped from you. So that was my review of episode 7, Crossed. You can write your thoughts below, like, subscribe, and comment for more geeky videos every day.